All right, here we go. Adam22, owner of No Jumper. Welcome back to VladTV.
Hello, Vlad. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I mean, we've been doing each other's shows now for some years. You do mine, I'll do yours. We'll mix it up.
Yeah.
You know, we've both been doing well over the years. Congrats on the success of No Jumper.
Appreciate it.
You know, what you do is a little different than what I do. You've really carved your own lane, and seems like you've been growing it every year.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been 2020, all things considered, pretty solid year, despite all the bad shit. It was a little hard to get people to come in for interviews for a while, but, yeah, surviving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of interviews, OT Genasis, which you were not part of.
I wasn't there, yeah.
You weren't there. But it seems like the fireworks went off today on that.
Yeah, it was like, so AD is my homie from Compton. He's like one person that we sort of brought in to do the news a little bit with me. And then, I mean, he just kind of never left. Like, we just kept doing the news together. And eventually I was like, bro, like, you should have your own podcast where you can kind of bring in people that you have a vibe with, that you can speak to and stuff. And OT is like his best friend. Like, they've been on tour mad times together, been all over the world together. And yeah, they were doing the podcast, and I guess OT felt kind of disrespected by Yassy, who's another girl that works for me, and actually more so her friend. I guess he felt disrespected by them. So at one point in the podcast, he's kind of like yelling, like letting them know how much money he has and stuff. And so I feel like I kind of might have missed exactly what the perceived disrespect was that made him want to go in like that. But yeah, that was pretty intense to be sitting at home on the couch watching.
Yeah, I mean, yelling at someone about how much money you have will just generally not work.
No.
Regardless of what led up to that. It just won't.
Especially in that case, it's like, you're OT Genasis. We all know you've had huge records. If you didn't have a lot of money, that would be unfortunate. We all assume that about you. So I felt kind of confused, like why he was going in that direction. I guess he genuinely felt like the girls were kind of trying to little bro him or just like try to play his shit down. And so he didn't feel it. But I mean, I don't personally podcast drunk. They were drinking a lot during that episode. So that was a little interesting.
So everyone was drinking?
I believe everybody was drinking, yeah.
Yeah, I try to avoid that.
Yeah.
I try to avoid it. I never drink during interviews. My guests generally don't drink. Every so often, they'll bring their own liquor.
Right.
You know, like a crunchy black. And, you know, if I'm doing the interview remotely, especially, I really have no say.
Yeah.
in this,
I've noticed that whenever they're smoking weed or like getting fucked up or whatever, that it's usually like you're not with them or they're not in this space with the drum set.
Yeah. You know, because we're doing a job. It's professional.
Like, I love smoking weed, but I don't think I'm a better interviewer when I smoke weed. You know, I feel like I'm faster and more high energy when I'm not smoking weed. And a lot of times I watch people make YouTube videos where they're like looking into the camera, smoking a blunt, and it's just like, nah, like you just do that after. Like, nobody wants to see your conversations slowed down by you inhaling and exhaling and shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And I guess, because when I first saw a reference to that video, the OT Genasis video, I went to the YouTube video and it was taken down.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I guess it was just taken down. And then I saw it, I think on Shade Room, like a clip of it. And then we ended up posting that clip just because we didn't have access to YouTube video. So was there some sort of drama behind the scenes?
I mean, it was just like last night, AD's like, oh, yo, like OT, like the label, or I don't know if it's label or like a girl or whoever, like they weren't happy about the way it looked. They asked us to remove both the full interview and the clip. And I was, you know, I'm thinking like, this is kind of pointless because it's already on, I mean, it wasn't on Vlad yet, but I think it was already going around on Twitter and stuff. It was like, you know, now it's on the Shade Room, it's on Hollywood Unlocked, it's on all these different outlets. I was telling AD, I'm like, it's kind of pointless for us to remove it because that just makes him look more like he did something wrong. Like if we remove it, then it's removing the full context. People are going to be sharing a 60-second clip where OT looks angry versus the full hour-plus interview where it might seem more understandable that he got a little heated. But at the same time, it's like I gave AD a weekly podcast, so I felt like, you know, if you want to remove an episode, we'll remove the episode. I just want you to keep this in mind in the future that this is like not really like a super intelligent way to handle this. And in reality, like, you know, this is probably the biggest moment at this moment that your podcast has had on our channel. So if I were you, I would kind of lean into it. We did remove the clip that was titled like OT Genasis gets mad after feeling disrespected on No Jumper. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, because we have third-party interviewers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will step onto our platform not realizing how big things can get.
Yeah.
Especially if they haven't been in this world before. When they've just been interviewed themselves, or they're actors or musicians or just behind the scenes industry people, they might have their own channels that don't get a lot of views, and even crazy stuff sort of comes and goes. When they get onto a VladTV or a No Jumper, and this thing ends up being humongous, they have problems dealing with it.
Definitely. And like, I will say something on my podcast that, I'll get maybe like, if I say something very controversial where I'm still right, I could easily get 1,000 people hitting me up telling me like, that one thing you said is fucked up. And it's like, in order to be a public presence, you have to be able to get 1,000 people telling you that you're a fucking idiot or that you're wrong about something, and still be like, all right, well, 100,000 people saw that, and the other 99,000 people seem to vibe with what I was saying or whatever. It's like, you have to kind of be confident at a certain point. Like, to me, it's totally unthinkable. I would probably never delete a podcast for something I said, It's like impossible for me to imagine.
Yeah, the only time that we've ever deleted anything is if something was fundamentally wrong,
right,
or false in what we said, or the person that we're interviewing just ends up not, telling the truth and being, a fraud in one sense or another. That's when we're like, all right, we're taking it down, because we try to stand behind actual facts. We're not going to get it right 100% of the time,
right?
But when we get it wrong, we do take it down.
Yeah.
But if someone gets mad, we don't take it down.
Right.
So if you ever see something get taken down on VladTV, it's not because someone got mad or we got scared or nothing else like that. We're not really scared of anything. Like, this is our job. But if we do get it wrong, we will take responsibility for getting it wrong.
I feel it.